My grandmother taught me to play Russian Kasmet mandolin on the piano, raisins and almonds, and we would sing together about a childhood memory of reassurances of better days to come, sweet as raisins and almonds. Papa, a baker, would make ring cakes, sweet and resplendent with those very same ingredients. Somehow I knew that I was living the happier days my ancestors had only dreamed about. This childhood memory of a song about childhood memories is precious to me, not only because it linked me to both my grandmother's lullaby song and my grandfather's baking, but also because it connected me to my grandparents' youth. I imagined my great-grandmother singing the same melody to her children in a tenement flat in the New World, America. I imagined her mother cuddling her in a far-off shtetl with the same song, and I imagined how many years and how many miles that song had traveled. Then I thought about the songs I had inherited from my father. They too had a Yiddish history, but the lyrics were twisted, perverse. He took the traditional story about a rabbi teaching children the aleph-base, the alphabet, and corrupted the words. Instead of a group of children sitting around a fireplace in a cozy, warm cheder classroom, my father's parody, that I learned before the real lyrics, sang of a rabbi burning in the fireplace. In the post-Holocaust world, I couldn't help but feel rage at the thoughtlessness of this crematoria-edged lyric. Then I thought about my own fully American parody school tune, such as "Glory, glory, hallelujah, teacher hit me with a ruler, and the school came burning down." The juxtaposition of my grandmother's eternal lullaby and my father's naughty parody made me wonder, how did Yiddish songs comfort and amuse Jewish residents of the ghettos in the Holocaust? And how did gender play a role in the tools of comfort or comedy?
Lullabies were traditionally mother-child songs, sung while rocking a baby to sleep. The Yiddish lullaby often has lyrics accompanied by gentle liu-liu-liu hushaby sounds. Usually it is in a minor, nostalgic key, and Ava Metzger points out that the yearning of the diaspora is intensified in the lilling tones of most Yiddish lullabies. When you add the nostalgia of enforced ghettoization and increased poverty and illness, along with fear and absence of loved ones, the lullabies of the Holocaust take on a haunting edge. In the monograph, Music in the Holocaust, Shirley Gilbert proposes that the lullaby Russian Kasmet mandolin, that I remember so fondly from my own childhood, is particularly powerful because the sweetness of the food evokes the richness of Jewish tradition, in contrast with the new circumstances of ghetto life. The original song, written by Abraham Goldfaden in 1880, tells of a widow rocking her only son to sleep, assuring him that someday he will be a tradesman, a soicher, who will travel the world selling raisins and almonds as a career. In its original form, the song had the sorrow of loss, a widow alone with a child, without an income, sleeping in the corner of a temple. It also had the beauty of hope. Her song will travel the world, as will her son, who will make a sweet living in the ways his father can no longer, in the ways she cannot. Although in his infancy, he is dependent on her, and as he grew, he will be more and more empowered to share the sweetness of life as he travels the world. For the ghetto dwellers of the Holocaust, life made no such promises. Those who were unable to leave before the Nazis controlled their homelands were stuck with ever-shrinking worlds. Men were thrown out of their careers. Families were sent to walled-in ghettos that grew smaller as the deportations and deaths diminished prisoner populations. Mothers could no longer feel such hope as they sang to their sons. Likewise, traditional religious males often stood out more than the women in their family, and were thus targeted more for abuse from the Nazis and local anti-Semites. Although in the song, the mother wishes a career for her son, women were working in the Haskalah more than a century before, and in the Holocaust, more than just a generation prior. Finally, hunger gnawed at everyone and caused ever-present illness and death. Therefore, the folk song Rajankas mit Mandlin effectively highlighted the extent to which Jews had been severed from their communal existence, according to Shirley Gilbert. It is no surprise, therefore, that this song became a springboard for other songs in the Holocaust. One haunting transformation of the song is a piece called In Slobodka Yeshiva. It takes the same melody and same idea of hope, but changes the setting to the ghetto. Instead of a widowed mother singing in a corner synagogue classroom, now a dying synagogue servant, a shamash, sits alone and writes a story of hope for future generations, that they will understand the pain he has suffered, but never experience it. Without family, without future, without warmth or hope, all he has is the past, and the melody that perhaps his mother sang to him, and the power of words to pass forward to a future time. Alone in the world, he now has the maternal role of conveying songs and comfort, rather than the more traditional masculine one of prayer and study. In contrast to the comfort of the original song, and this heart-wrenching lyrical rewrite, is the famous Nit kein Rashenkas, Nit kein Mandlin of the Watch Ghetto. Instead of keeping the melody and transforming it to a new and terrible situation, lyricist Isaiah Spiegel took the rich idea of raisins and almonds and turned it upside down, just as his life was turned upside down by the death of his daughter. It was not unheard of in the ghetto to write songs about hunger. In Watch, there was a famous street singer named Yankala Hershkovitz. His often irreverent songs made people laugh. His ode to a potato is sung as if a wedding singer, Barkin, were singing to a bride, and it is with this love that he pays homage to the main form of sustenance in ghetto life. He calls it his best friend and compares it to diamonds. The potato wins. You cannot eat gems, acknowledging that without it he will have a visa to the land of the dead. Hershkowitz's song is playful and quick-paced, still in a minor key, but meant for an audience to appreciate his wordplay. On the other hand, Nit kein Rashenkas, Nit kein Mandlin was not written in jest. In her essay on singing as spiritual resistance, Elena Adler calls this the inverse of the original song. Instead of a future with raisins and almonds, the future in this lullaby is bleak. No raisins, no almonds. The Yiddish double negative makes the lack of nourishment even more deeply felt. Nit kein Rashenkas, nit kein Mandlin. Not any raisins, not any almonds. The hard consonants add further insults to injury. Nit kein is very different from the warm tones of the words Rashenkas and Mandlin. What strikes me about this song, however, is that it also deals with family changes. Instead of a narrator singing about a widowed mother singing this tune, the narrator is the mother singing to her child. The lyrics speak of a father who has left, but not on business. He has gone to the end of the world. Wie die Welt hat nur ein Eck. It is a scary world with shrieking owls and howling wolves. The mother does not sing of safety or of comfort. The only hope the mother can offer her sleeping child is that someday, somewhere, the father stands and watches in a world, heaven, where there might once again be raisins and almonds. I also find it curious that both sets of lyrics were written by males to be sung by females. It is as if writing music or poetry is an acceptable way to express the omnipresent feelings of loss, but the character of a grieving widow is so much more acceptable to an audience. This brings me back to the song my father parodied, Eufen Pripacek. This song, too, is set in a cheder, in a traditional Hebrew school setting for males. It doesn't have a widow singing to her son, though. Instead, it tells the story of a rabbi teaching young boys the Aleph Beis, the alphabet of both Hebrew and Yiddish, the alphabet of the Jewish identity. I looked and looked to find parodies of the song, parodies like my father used to sing to me. All I found was one much more somber rendition. Just as Kovno ghetto residents changed the lyrics for Raisins and Almonds to create a darker song during the Holocaust, they also altered the lyrics for Eufen Preppercheck. Instead of a rabbi given the power of language and culture to his yeshiva students, the ghetto version tells the story of a starving community whose only agency comes from sneaking out of the ghetto walls. There's a stark contrast between the German guards who wear a warm coat and sit by a fire and the constant risk of life and death with the hungry smuggler's face. Instead of setting the song by the fireplace, it is now set by the ghetto's gate, a gap between freedom and prison, food and starvation, life and death. Although there are no specific male or female references here, it is clear that the goal of all involved is survival through the procurement of food, in this case, a loaf of bread. Traditionally, the kitchen is a feminine place, but in the ghetto, just as in the lyrics of these songs, everyone had to do what they could to get their food. It is an odd dichotomy of agency. In a land of the starving, those with food have more agency, but women can be just as likely to be hungry as men, so it levels the playing field. The ultimate masculinity, agency, and power goes to the male guards, who are portrayed as living in a comfortable life and taking on the power to carry out surges. In playing through the books and music from the ghettos and reading multiple books and articles about the music of the Holocaust, I encountered funny songs like The Potato Bride, but all the songs I found had a dark underside. Most frequently, I found songs that were used for strength, either by giving hope or by resonating back to a happier day with melodies from the past.